Okay, this video is going to be for a couple of different things. One, recap the previous discussions so I can make sure that you comprehended specific things, feedback about what I've read in the discussions, where I think people might be missing the mark. And then to talk a little bit about the current discussion. I say the current one because since we are now on the 2 week format, you will have already been supposedly covering it for 1 week and you're supposed to finish covering it this week. So that's what I want to talk about. Um, I'm not doing the share screen thing, but I have to look at some of it. So we are going to start with the discussion week 8. This is where I said I gave you a lot of information throughout the term. I've given a lesson, a must read, blah, blah, blah. So here where I said about discussing what makes a state, what genocide is, what war crimes are, and what human rights are and what they mean. And then you had to address all of these topics. And then you had to give your personal thoughts. Like, do you agree or disagree with what is happening? Why or why not? What do you think should be done? And then you're supposed to back it up with facts, sources, that kind of thing. I put on here, make sure to follow what was explained in the video, mainly no fluff. You must add depth. A lot of people are very fluff. Um, I could see people trying on this one, sort of, but it was also very clear that a lot of people either did not look at the grading rubric and or did not watch the video about the grading rubric. You have to be active 4 different days, 2 different days on week 1 and 2 different days on week 2. A lot of people are waiting until Friday of week 1, which is when week 1 ends, to post their first discussion, which means it's not possible if you wait until that Friday to be active twice that first week. I'm sure that there's some misunderstanding on that because I saw quite a few people post on Friday and Saturday and then later the next week. But you have to remember, I've stated our week ends Friday at 10 p.m. That's why the following week still ends Friday at 10 p.m. So you have to be active before Friday and, well, twice before Friday at 10 p.m. of the first week. So that's one. I still have people who, for some reason, don't reply to anybody. I don't know why you're doing this. It hurts you like a lot. Don't do that. I have had a few people who copy and paste their reply to multiple people. Don't do that. Um, I get that the idea is to ask a question feels like you're furthering the discussion, but if that's all you do and you never come back, that's just a drive-by. You're just like boop, and then taking off. That's not actually helping a discussion. So stop that. Basically, you are supposed to really get into this. And the little shortcut stuff that works for other discussions doesn't work here. I warned you that when going to the 2 week discussion board or discussion method, whatever, that it was going to be a lot more in depth. And it is. Um, so when you covered this, some people actually covered it. Some people not so much. And it was very clear that a lot of you did not actually read any of the material that was provided. Um, I highly suggest instead of just trying to ballpark, read. Like literally read. If you look where it says articles for discussion, I gave you articles that if you actually had read the articles, you would have been able to just slap through this something fierce. I am not looking for academic. I am looking for you, for your thoughts, what you think, what you feel, and then showing me how you got there. Because politics is a big thing, whether local or global, it's huge. You need to know what you think. Otherwise, it doesn't mean anything. And so that's why I do these the way I do, where I'm asking you and grading you on you clearly stating your personal thoughts. I understand a lot of people were raised with don't ever talk about religion, politics, or money. I'm saying break that habit. I think that's why we're in as much trouble as we are. Too many people are not willing to actually talk about what they think. And with that, people don't educate themselves. They just go by what they hear, and then we end up how we are. So, for this particular discussion, some people made an effort. Some people really made an effort, and some people, no, not so much. But I want to move on to the next one, week 10. This was the one I put a lot of myself into. I gave you, this is where what are some things we could do to prevent violent outbreaks? World peace, why can't countries get along? Human trafficking and misinformation and disinformation and AI. I then wrote up a week 10 lesson where I told you exactly how I would answer this. You could have read my idea of a discussion, and some people did, and I thank you for that. A lot of people are still relying heavily on AI. The irony was not lost on me at the fact that part of this was about AI. That really sucks, just so you know. When you are doing a discussion where you are literally being graded on what you think, the idea of going to AI is really ridiculous. Quit being lazy and actually use your brain. We all need to use our brains more, which is why part of your grading rubric, as has been shown, is proving critical thinking and proving your personal thoughts and opinions. I was forgiving-ish on the critical thinking part. If it felt like you made an effort, you mostly got it. If all you did was define stuff, you probably did not get points for that. Moving forward, you better do better. That's all there is to it, because I'm tired of saying it. Now, some things we could do to prevent violent outbreaks. A lot of you clearly just plug that into Google instead of reading the article or thinking about it. And the reason I said that is because there were a lot of almost exactly the same thing of defining violence and about helping people, as in, like, oh gosh, what was it? So many from, I think, Psychology Today or something. But there were a lot of you who said almost exactly the same thing. And it wasn't having to do with global anything. It was like individuals being violent. Yes, I did not specify global, but it is a global politics class. And you didn't get counted off for not talking politics here, but you didn't really get a whole lot of points when all you did was define what violence is. We all know what violence is. This was what can you do to help prevent it, which is not the same thing of just talking about what it is. Why can't countries get along? A lot of you didn't answer that one either. A few of you did, and I thank you for that. Human trafficking. This was another one where there was a whole lot of copy and paste. A lot of people clearly just slapped this into Google and took whatever it said, or used chat. And the reason I say chat is I butcher that all the time with chat. What is it? GPT, CPT, CBT? I don't know. I always mess it up. So there you go. A lot of that was identical. Misinformation, disinformation, and AI. This one was also copy and paste a lot. So many of you had almost exactly the same answer. So this is a lesson that if you're going to rely on AI to write your posts, don't, because you're not the only one who thinks you're quote unquote smart enough to do this. I'm sitting here grading all of these one after the other after the other. It's glaringly obvious when people are giving me pretty much the same answer. It might change a couple of words, but for the most part, it's exactly the same. And where this went wrong, tremendously wrong for a lot of people, is Had you looked at the articles and had you read the lesson, you would have seen all three of these are three separate things. Misinformation is when you convey something wrong, but you don't realize it's wrong. And so this would be like you read something somewhere like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a really good. Okay, here you go. Misinformation. You read somewhere that the entire US government shutdown is because the Democrats want undocumented immigrants to receive health care. If you read that and then you stated that as a fact, that is misinformation because you did not understand the facts. You truly believed that was the issue. Disinformation is having been educated or knowing the fact that undocumented immigrants have never been and cannot get health insurance in the US. That's part of the issue of being undocumented. They don't have any access to it. The only medical care any undocumented immigrant can get in the US is going to be things like life-saving stuff at an emergency room. And that's it, which is nothing to do with the Affordable Health Care Act. By knowing that that is the fact and then saying the other, that is disinformation. That is purposely saying a lie to sway people your direction. Disinformation, super dangerous. Misinformation, super dangerous. But misinformation is a mistake. It's something where it's because a person did not actually check. They did not educate themselves. That is like being ignorant. You just don't know any better. Disinformation is purposely misleading people in order to get the result you want. AI, we all know AI. The big thing about AI, however, is true artificial intelligence is not at all what most people are thinking about for AI. And so when I complain about AI, I'm talking about what most people are using it for, this chat junk and the stupid images and stuff like that, where it's eating up so much of our electricity that we are draining entire counties of water in order to keep the facilities running. Don't even get me started on that. That's what most people are thinking is AI. True AI is actually helpful in some things. And the example I like to use is, and I can't remember what state it's in, but there's a company who's been working on the development of this machine to help clean up pollution in lakes and ponds and stuff, mostly lakes. And it scooches along and it scoops up like plastic and any kind of floating litter. And they have to use AI to help teach the machine to recognize what is litter and what is not litter, because you don't want this machine to like scoop up a duck. That's what AI actually is. I mean, that's a very simple example. What we keep calling AI is just glorified search engine and compilation. And it's not to be trusted. And a lot of times we'll give you the wrong answer. There is actually an article recently out about Kim Kardashian, who is complaining that AI made her fail so many of her tests because instead of studying the material that she was provided by her instructors for a flippin' law degree, she decided to just keep asking AI the questions so it would give her the answer so she could memorize the answer. And then it kept giving her the wrong answer, so she kept failing tests. I can't even. I can't even. And that's what a lot of people are doing right now. And that's why a lot of people are rather ignorant about reality. You can't trust that. So, people who simply lumped all three of those together and did not tell me the difference, you lost points. Now, how do all of these things go together? Some of you did a great job. Some of you didn't even bother with that part. I suggest reading all the words in a prompt because I do give very detailed instructions on purpose, and I am looking for all of those. And so I would love for you to go back and look at your previous discussions. read what I requested, read what you answered, and look at your feedback. See if you can figure it out. Some people are doing such a bang up job, they're getting extra credit. Because if you really cover everything, I see that you've given it your all, you're going to get more points because I reward good behavior. If you are phoning it in, I totally made that grading rubric, so you are not getting rewarded for that. You have to actually do your job. So there you go. Now, the current discussion. The current discussion is all about your project. You know, that project that started in week 2, and we are now, when you watch this video, in week 13. You should have been busy this whole time. This whole time, you should have been busy. And there's a lot of people who haven't been. So I started a discussion this past week, week 12, in order to make you start working towards your project. This is to start explaining things. This is to start discussing things. This is so those of you who have really crappy group members have a chance to get to know other people on this and help each other. This is a big part of your grade. So I highly suggest put some work into this. And yeah, this one, literally, I will read it to you. I want you to share with people about your ideas from this project. Help each other understand the definitions, discuss ideas. But the big thing, talk about different countries and what their governments are. Explain these. Use examples. This will help all of you better complete your project. Let us see how much of a critical thinker you can be. You have to display thinking. Some of you are going to try to just do a bunch of definitions. That's not what I'm asking. You are communicating with other humans. You are not just checking a box and going, authoritarian means, nationalism means, democracy means. Yes, you can do those, but you should be saying things like, the United States of America is listed and known to be a democracy. However, the current political climate, based on, provide examples, and then say what you think. Is everything that's happening in the United States of America currently evidence of a democracy? If it is, give the examples and state why. Easy example would be, we just had elections. That's evidence of a democracy. If you believe we are not acting as a democracy currently, provide examples and then explain. I could give you plenty of those too. But I'm going to let you do this. I think throughout the term, I've been a little vocal about where I think things are. So I highly suggest look back over things. Look at some of the news articles that have been supplied. Yes, I haven't given you many new news articles, but I've been holding on to them. It's just overwhelming, and I honestly don't know if anybody's even looking at them. So if you're watching this and you want more news articles, let me know, because I got plenty. Anyway, don't only talk about the United States of America, because this is global. Talk about anywhere. Like right now, there's some horribleness happening in Sudan. So go ahead and take a look there. Moldova, Ukraine, Russia. You can do Israeli. You can decide whether or not to count Palestine, since that is going back and forth about whether or not it's counted as a state. But all of those things, pick some countries that interest you, delve into it, and give examples, explain. So this is you using your brain to say, hey, this is what I'm thinking, that kind of stuff. So that's what you need to be doing here. I'm hoping that helps. Big thing is double check the rules for the rubric. I'm sticking to it. Make sure you are not using Wikipedia, because Wikipedia, you lose a lot of points right off the bat for Wikipedia, because Wikipedia is not a valid source. If you wish to use Wikipedia as a jumping off point, That's fine. I'll never know. Just go to the very bottom and look at the references there and pick a valid source. Wikipedia is not a valid source. It's twice on the grading rubric where you lose points. And so far, since I was slack in grading before, I only counted one of them. So if you keep using Wikipedia, stop. Do not use Wikipedia. Look at the rubric. Make sure that you're doing everything you're supposed to on the rubric. Don't just assume you know what's needed. Please stop being lazy. Too many lazy people in this course currently. Way too many lazy people. That's annoying. It's going to hurt your grade. And that's on nobody but you. Does life get difficult? Yes. Does that mean you don't actually make an effort? No. You do lose points if you are not active 2 times each week. But if you are active a bunch in the second week, you can make up a lot of points. You really can. So if you have a really rough time, as long as you have given it all you've got and you've really discussed the prompts the way I tell you to, and you're like, oh my gosh, I have really thought about this. I am really showing my thought process, not a look, I'm giving you all the possible information, copy and paste quotes. Look how academic I am. But you're really giving your thoughts. You can earn back points pretty quickly. But that's the big thing. Stop trying to impress. Actually be you. I am not looking for academic perfection. I am not looking for what looks like papers. I am not looking for quotes. I flip and hate quotes, just so you know. I am not looking for what looks like a Frankenstein version where you have put together all these other things. I am looking for proof that you, yourself, a human being, read what this was, read through the material, applied your own human brain, and gave it the respect I'm requesting and demanding, which is you think about it. All other things are going to make you not get the points you want. So if you are frustrated with your grading, that's pretty much it. Look at the rubric and remember, I am looking for your thoughts, what you think, what you feel. I need to see you as a person in the post, not snarky, not a whole bunch of academic crap, not trying to prove how smart you are. I don't care. I want to know how your brain works. I want to know thoughts. Have I drilled this in yet? I'm hoping so. Sadly, most of the people who will watch this are probably the ones who are already doing this, and that gets so frustrating. So I'm going to end this with those of you who have been being yourself, no matter how casual or how some of you have apologized for possibly being offensive. I love you. That's literally what I'm looking for. We are humans. This is a human topic. I want humanity in these discussions, and you're giving them. And you are the people who give me hope. So just you guys keep doing what you're doing. Your grades should already be showing you that you're doing it well. So yeah, I think that's it. And hopefully I'll see you again soon. Peace out.